Alrighty, hello every folks, and welcome to a sort of a speedrun tech guide type situation. So let me just say, first of all, this is something that I wanted to kind of be able to go and do live stream, all of that whole kind of thing. But all in all, this is roughly speaking about an 8-hour or so long speedrun, and quite frankly, the time slot for that is just simply not available. You know, family comes first and all that. So let's go ahead and cover a few things here, because I wanted to cover some of the mentality of this run before we get it started proper. So personally, I call this the winging it approach, but basically when it comes to a game like Tactics Ogre Reborn, things are going to be chaotic. They're going to be pretty nuts most of the time, and in many cases it's just going to get out of hand if you try to go and plan for a lot of specific things. It's going to lead to a lot of frustrations if we simply plan around things like cards or RNG in general. So we're going to more or less set up an approach here that allows us to get through the game kind of adapting on the fly, more so than trying to make any particular thing stick. There are a few decisions that are going to be made for the purposes of trying to make things a little bit more consistent, but generally speaking, this is all going to come down to sort of understanding how to counter certain things at the right times, when to simply avoid attacking things and just, try to bait enemies out, and other times when you should just be throwing your entire team at a particular problem to make it happen, and how to do so without going and losing all your gains in the process. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and show that this is like a half-complete version of this particular run, just kind of showing off some of the things that we'll be looking at, to get an idea of how weird our team might end up looking and why. Because again, I don't really want to go about explaining all of this stuff on the fly as we carry on. So as you see, we're going down neutral in this particular route. There's a very particular reason that we're going to be doing that, but we're going to get to that when we get to it. We're going to cover this one chapter at a time. Alright, so first and foremost, you may notice, for example, right here, that we have Denim running fire, while his equipment loadout says that he's been ice. So the reason for this is essentially that we're going to be running Denim as a rune fencer throughout the entire game, with exception to the very beginning, where he's going to be running an ice archer. The reason for this is because early on we get access to a ice blast, which will then help him out when he has access to his rune fencer here. But additionally, it gives him as an archer a chance to two-shot the griffins that we've run into early in the game. Anyway, this element swap will be explained later in the Chapter 2 section, but essentially we're looking to try to avoid doing element swaps as much as possible. But if you'll look at this team here, you'll notice that most of these characters are running recruit skills of various kinds. The reason for this is because we're essentially going to be running a core team of recruiters for most of it. Now, personally, the core that I liked going with is essentially Denim at the front, going for a sword and bow type setup. We've got two fencers with Volges. We've got two knights, just kind of as you need. All the knights will be functioning more or less the same role, so just whoever you happen to have on hand. And then Canopus. Now, the rest are basically going to be slot fillers. Now, we're going to be trying to avoid menuing as much as possible, because that is a whole lot of things to remember, and quite frankly, I don't feel like doing that. So, in some cases, like for example, early on in Chapter 1, we will be attempting to either recruit or kill the Beast Tamer in order to have access to lobbers as well as our Dynast King's mead. Now, those meads, you should roughly speaking see about 9 of them in Chapter 1. This can vary based on, who lived, died, what have you, but generally speaking, we're looking to try to make sure that we at least have access to the lobber skill, as well as those meads. Meads are functionally unavoidable. Now, the reason that we're going for 2 of one class and 2 of another right here, the Volges are going to be very handy in some cases, and having more defense will be very handy in other cases. We're in many cases going to be looking for kind of weaknesses in lines so that we can kind of sneak certain units through. For example, if there are cases where we know we have a tougher boss, we might go for something like this, where we have a warrior with a two-hander who's going to be hitting particularly hard. Whereas in other cases, simply attacking multiple times with spears might do the job just fine. Whereas in other cases, going for a spear plus a sword pincer or something along those lines may be just what we're looking for. Now, they won't all have pincer, they won't all have the skills that you need, and we're really not looking to fully optimize this on the fly. We're just looking to get by. So either way, this will make more sense as we go on, but just the idea behind this is that we have one team that we know that we can rely on. We're going to go ahead and kind of keep them in one of our slots, and then just kind of build from there. Now, part of the reason for this is also due to levels. Like you'll notice right here, Denim is maxed out. The reason for this is because it's going to be him and Canopus that are going to be getting our XP charms. We won't be using these very often. It's only going to be right before end of chapter boss fights. But the idea here is that if you hit the level cap at any point, any leftover XP trickles down to the rest of your team. In many cases, the recruits that you run into are going to be at or above the level cap, meaning that you can essentially grab one of them, essentially spill over that experience to everybody else, and you can run a far different party. From there, we're just looking to acquire as many units as we can, again, without going out of our way to do so. So, for example, any human or hawk type units, as well as any zombies they may run into, are going to be fair game when it comes to the recruit skill. Something like this fairy over here, there's one opportunity to get a hold of at the very beginning of Chapter 2, and we'll be covering how to handle that later. Technically speaking, while there is only one battle to get one of these consistently, her loyalty is pretty much low enough that it should be possible. Roughly the odds are going to be in about the 20 to 30% ballpark, and in that particular situation, you're going to be seeing a case where Canopus has access to this fairy for roughly 3 or 4 rounds. So, all odds being even, there's a pretty decent chance that she'll end up on your team, and it's very useful to have somebody that can simply redirect attacks in the other direction. You may notice a running theme with this whole kind of composition here, where we're more or less looking to redirect whatever we happen to have on the field at the time, more so than trying to bring anything special in ourselves. Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and get this thing started. Alrighty, let's do this thing. So first things first, birthday will determine the time that you actually start the game. This won't matter very much. The starting default birthday there will be perfectly fine for giving us enough rainy maps to benefit early on. So we're just going to leave that as it is. So, ideally what we want for these cards is not to be looking for, remember to turn this direction or another, but basically if you see anything that mentions family, if you see anything that mentions personal strength, if you see anything along those lines, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to be, usually the joke I like to make is that it's the typical red state kind of answer, which for some reason involves saving parents in this particular case, which is just depressing, but anyway. Essentially, if you go for those, you'll typically end up with a strength build, which is ideally what we want, but either way, we can make just about anything work. Stats are not going to be too much of a factor in this particular run, as weird as that sounds. Okay, in this case, we're going to be going for Ice, again, to benefit us early on when it comes to those Griffins, and then later on, it gives us a nice, easy, pretty much like guaranteed Fire Charm to pivot into a anti-Vice type scenario, but we'll cover more on that as we get there. Because as you'll notice, Vice actually will have a different element, depending on a few different situations. But right here, important thing to note, as the fight is starting, go ahead and keep your left trigger on hand, or your left thumbstick on hand. During that cutscene, you can actually turn your speed on, then go ahead and double tap the right analog stick in order to get your element thing up. Okay, so questions. We're going to be going ABA on these. The reason for this is just there's I believe they're fairly random, but we're essentially looking to get a very particular team here. Again, I don't know if this is actually consistent or not, but it seemed to be when I was testing it. But while names change, you will hopefully end up getting particular units. It's usually just a male or female unit that you're going to get of that particular kind. Again, I haven't completely fully tested whether this really matters, but more often than not, I got the elements I was looking for. So that's what we're going to go for. You've got several skips in this initial section, and additionally one minor time improvement that we can make if we simply avoid landing on that tile that Lancelot is on. Just avoid that middle line in general. There's 2 item pickups if you move your full range there. So, we're going to look to avoid those as much as we can. Technically speaking, yes, those are items that could be handy down the line, but realistically, again, we're looking to avoid items as much as possible. Now you'll notice right here, at the very beginning, there's a lot of Pokemon logic when it comes to Vice. He is going to take the elements, essentially he is going to be the element that you are strong against. So he's going to be Wind at this point, and then later on he will match your element. So he won't, like, at this point, like for example, he runs Wind, you're Ice, so he's going to be weak to you, but when you run into him in Chapter 2, he's going to switch over to Ice to be the same as you. This is just one of those weird little kind of background plot beat kind of situations. But this essentially means that you can follow his lead at that point and switch over to Fire once you get to the duel in order to make sure that you have more or less equal footing against the guy despite his completely jacked stats. He's actually one of the few cases of a unit that legitimately just has completely broken numbers. But anyway. We'll carry on here. So a few concepts to actually pay attention to here. So we got weak, strong, and neutral damage when it comes to these elements. The specifics are kind of a bit of a long story, but basically what it comes down to is that if you're attacking an element that you're strong against, you're roughly speaking going to get a 30% bonus. If you have anything with an affinity that is strong against the thing you're attacking, you're going to get that same bonus. If your personal bonus is better, it will use that instead. So what this comes down to is if you have an elemental finisher, unless you are personally, weakened by that finisher, you will still be getting a bigger bonus than you would off of a neutral attack. So for example, if you have something like an axe, having something like Ice Prison there will give you coverage over your personal element as well as the element that you're hitting. If you match the element, you'll be getting 10% bonus damage, but again, we're looking more for coverage and options and the ability to pivot into other things than we are to actually go for very specific, stuff at certain situations. Flexibility is going to matter a lot more than anything else as far as I'm concerned, so that's what we're going to be going for here. By the way, if there's any weird jitters or anything else over the course of this recording, I'm going to do my best. Right now I'm running a computer that is, well, basically my backup computer because I'm trying to upgrade my main one into something that is alive. So while we're in the process of doing that, since it's taking slightly longer than I expected because I never realized that eBay increased their fees for selling things to something absolutely extortionate, so I wound up like $70 under budget, but anyway, moving on here. So, first off, as far as tech for this map here, what we want to do is just kind of clear out the map as much as possible. Units will always attack for the biggest number that is nearby them. So, for example, if you can get Lancelot close to Paul over there, he'll end up attacking him instead. That's why we cleared out that other unit over in the back. Just to make sure that he doesn't try to finish her off instead. I mistimed it there, but if you have a friendly that's knocked out, you can actually go ahead and hit Start and A right before it finishes zooming in to skip that cutscene. It skips the entire warp animation and everything else. Otherwise, it is unskippable as long as you end up hitting it on time. So because I'm recording off of a Switch here, and technically the ideal setup would be to go and use an HDMI splitter so that there isn't an input delay, occasionally I'm going to mess up some inputs. Again, it's a combination of A, I'm not a speedrunner, and B, this situation isn't exactly ideal. So a few rules of thumb here. Always be paying attention to your turn order. Just kind of try to plan out your moves in advance so that you can immediately hop on whatever you're going for. Generally speaking, even a suboptimal attack is going to be more worthwhile because you're still at least making some moves. Generally speaking, don't try to attack for no reason. Don't try to plink things unless it's for a specific reason. So, for example, in many cases, we're going to be using longbows over the course of this run. And we're specifically going to be trying to train up a couple of kind of core ranged units in order to have access to their finishers, in order to be able to do a sort of breach archer snipe on a lot of bosses. Well, generally speaking, the consensus from many is that spellcasters are the ones with the big damage number. It should be noted that they have the best entry point at a long distance, whereas generally speaking, ranged will scale a lot better if you can find a way to make that happen. So, for example, we're going to use Canopus as a Vartan through most of the run in order to have access to his movement to collect additional cards in order to essentially breach something and then immediately follow it up with a Dark Weight, which will more often than not end up hitting something for about two-thirds of its health for the majority of the game. No unit can resist Breach, and early on we're going to be using a Beast Tamer in order to plant that debuff where it's needed. Later on we'll be replacing that with debuff specific weapons, but in the meantime that's what we've got. Additionally, in many cases, we're going to be using stuff like shields in order to push our way through lines rather than actually fighting through those units. Again, bear in mind, Steadfast does not become available until way in the end of the game, so this means that shield bashes will, generally speaking, be pretty effective for just pushing your way through in most situations. Obviously, situations will vary. There's a lot of little variations here and there, but either way, we'll cover those as they come along. All right, so in essence, what we're looking to do in this second map is same as the first. We're just looking to clear out units as much as possible. We see that we've got 2 White Knights coming up. They're going to be probably attempting to finish off the caster over there. He's not going to be able to reach the caster, so he's going to go for the soldier instead. He's going to go for whatever's closest, as you do. We're going to attempt to injure this guy a little bit. Unfortunately, it's not quite enough. My hope is that he'll end up attacking somebody and end up getting counterattacked back, ideally either Vice or, well, Lancelot's out of the picture at this point. By the way, if you ever hear me calling him Hamilton, it's Lancelot Hamilton. It's just there's 2 Lancelots, so I prefer to call them Hamilton and Tardy. So either way, you know, deal with that as you will. Okay, so unfortunately that did take them 2 extra actions, but whatever. The ice thing does help us out a little bit here. I want to point out, don't focus too much on trying to min-max everything. In a lot of cases, it's really just going to come down to just, well, surrounding, and I believe the technical term is beating the ever-loving shit out of stuff, so that is kind of how it's going to go down every now and then. Just pincer plus a lot of attacks is just as good as being effective in some cases. Stats are all well and good, just having more axes on the problem is going to sort it out a lot better. And having some knowledge of the AI quirks will help. Like, for example, right there, you'll notice in many cases the AI will have a tendency to prefer their shields if they have the option to do similar type damage, which will happen pretty often. So you'll also notice that many times over the course of this game I will be avoiding upgrading people's weapons in order to hopefully create situations where we just save a lot of time by using those basic weapons. While attack values and defense values are pretty major over the course of the run, the actual attack value from the weapon, when it comes to melee weapons, is not nearly as important as it once was. However, it is pretty important on bows. So once we get to Chapter 2, we'll essentially craft 1 pile of longbows, and that's going to carry us through the entire chapter. Either way, for the time being, we just continue clicking the button. We end up skipping things. We hopefully... Oh, dang it. We ignore that. Yeah, if you're on Switch, that part's very annoying because you can't just skip through it like you could in the PSP version. Muscle memory definitely hurts me on that one. Okay. We recruit all of our generics. These guys are going to come in with higher stats than anything you're going to get at the shop. And all of them are actually going to be pre-built towards their particular things. So, for example, the Fencer will be perfectly generic. Go through guides, move on. So, like, the Fencer will be perfectly generic, the Caster will be good at casting, that kind of stuff. Alright. Okay, so at this point we'll be changing exactly 2 things here. We'll be switching you over to bows, if I can remember where they are. We're going to switch you over to pincer, and we're going to switch you over to mighty. We're going to end up circling back to pick up another thing later on down the road. But there we go, we have that, we have this, if I can remember to hit the buttons right, and there we go. Now we're going to go ahead and move on forward. As I kick some stuff off my desk. Fantastic. As always, you continue mashing A as you do. So in this case, having access to his ice element is going to be not particularly beneficial, but it's fine because Canopus will basically wipe this fight for us. All we're looking to do is run up and gain some ranged units on our wizard guy up there, and then we'll be good to go. After this fight, we'll be doing a couple of changes. Specifically, after Crisero, we're going to be making a couple of changes. And yes, I am specifically picking a new pronunciation for Crisero now, just to be extra confusing, so that now we have 3 different pronunciations, 2 of which are wrong, 1 of which is official, and we're going to be ignoring that one. Alright, so, you continue going forward. Later on, we're going to switch into our core team of fencers. We're going to keep our generic fencer. Then we're also going to... we're actually going to keep our original fencer. We're going to turn one of our casters into a fencer, and we're going to turn our soldier into a fencer, and then we'll kind of go from there. We're going to turn our cleric into a knight, and we're going to keep our archer as is. We don't need to stack particular classes in this one, so, you know, that's a thing gone from the PSP version, which honestly probably for the best. Anyway, so we just kind of attack anybody that's close by. until we can get close and drop some arrows on that guy. If we can clear off, one or more of these units, that would be ideal, but either way, for the time being, we're just kind of hitting stuff. Your starter warrior will always start off with an axe this time around, so he's pretty handy as far as that goes. Pretty quick switch into pretty much anything else. Actually, he can be the knight in this particular situation, that's why I was switching him to knight, I forgot about that. Technically speaking, these starter ranks that they come with are... they're not bad. It is something that you can gain back pretty quick, but for the time being, they are going to stick out a little bit when it comes to these generics at the very start here, so you might as well keep them as they are as far as that goes. Anyway, so if I can manage to hit the right buttons here, there we go, we'll be essentially landing 4 shots on Arba, and then we can go home. I'm going to go right here. Any one of these guys that you can finish off, go ahead and go for it. Just kind of give us a few more items to potentially play with. Some of them have a chance to drop debuff items, I think. I don't know, I can't quite remember. I know at the very start you do get a pretty large dump of debuffs, or debuff items, like your Dyna's King's Meads. You're almost guaranteed to start off with 3 of them this time around. Well, I say this time around, you're always pretty much guaranteed to drop 3 of them, but in this particular case, it's pretty much guaranteed, because it's almost impossible to get out of that fight without it. So you notice right there, despite the fact that Denim is a decent bit stronger than everybody else, he was doing less than the basic archer, primarily because in his particular case he's attacking on a strong element, which means that he's essentially going to be taking a pretty massive penalty to his hits there. So there we go, that guy's going to drop a 109, you're going to do absolutely nothing, you're just going to sit there as you do. I probably should have switched her to Knight already, but oh well. Alright, and then we'll go ahead and drop a dead shot on you, that's going to be a 51. And there we go, he's going to do his thing, they're going to take 1 shot, and then our archer's going to go ahead and finish the fight. Alright, so, in this case we go ahead and do this, we take this, and pop, and there we go. So, that's that wrapped up. Now we move on to Crisaro. I guess I'll pronounce it right this time. There we go, get some blessing stones. We're not going to use a... technically speaking, we should go for the water charm there, that would be ideal. It's just 1 quick heal to make that happen. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and switch out some stuff here. Now, recruit Canopus. Alright, now, because of the fact that later on down the road we'll be needing this, we're going to be going... actually, right, he doesn't have it yet. I don't know what the hell I'm thinking on that. You go ahead and switch out for nothing, because I forgot to pick up the class marks. In that case, you go ahead and switch out for Knight. We're going to switch you over to this right here. If you have anyone that manages to get 5 by this point, you can go ahead and get Recruit, but realistically speaking, you're going to end up with a case where we get access to our Recruit strats after this. I actually forgot to change her as well. She should also be switching over to Knight. Then after that, we'll be switching over a few units to Fencers. We have our 2 starting knights, we'll have access to our Fencers pretty soon, and we can go ahead and get going here. So in this particular fight, what we're looking to do is take advantage of Mr. Canopus' long movement in order to have him go around collecting cards. Now, we don't want to just simply rely on cards and absolutely nothing else, but it will dramatically speed up this process. Alright. So he's going to get mad. You get a few seconds after. Once he starts popping up with his text box, you can go ahead and skip it. Alright, so the thing to bear in mind for this fight is that she will continue pressing backwards. We have several units that have come in equipped with shields, and we're going to be making use of those shields in order to push our way through. We've got 3 ranged units, and those are the ones that we're going to primarily be looking to get some benefit out of for the purpose of this fight here. Alright, so we got a crit card ready to go right there. Basically, if you are if you're nearby any props, you can just go ahead and throw items at them to break them, see if you can get some additional items going. Like right there, I'm going to go ahead and pick up that crit card with Denim, and I'm going to pick up the other crit card with Canopus in a moment. And then we can go ahead and start getting everybody else in position. So the spear guy is going to continue being a spear guy. Vice is going to go wherever. Hopefully our knight will end up being able to take advantage of pushing Canopus forward there. I don't think they can if the Lady Knight goes first. I don't see the turn order right now, but if Lady Knight goes first, no they don't. Actually, we might be able to just do this. So if you ever need to reposition your units, you can just push them forward. In this particular case, got unlucky. There's certain situations where it actually will not work to push your units forward. That I'm still a little bit unclear on, because none of the data miners that I've asked so far have confirmed whether or not it's actually a chance roll or potentially based off the types of tiles. Like, I believe dirt tiles have a chance to not let you be pushed backwards. I'm not sure. Either way, what we're going to do at this point is just go ahead and start sniping this guy. So we're actually going to go ahead and take the crit card with our archer at this point. If you go about it this way, you'll pretty much always start off with a water archer. The lady archer seems to always start as water. But again, you know, go for your preferred element loadout. This is just kind of how I prefer to do it. So we're going to go ahead and push forward here. Unfortunately, these guys are not classed as humanoid. If they were in fact classed as human instead of just plain Umbra, then that is something that we would probably want to take a quick training fight to go and recruit. But as it stands, not really too much of a factor. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and take this guy out right here. Reason being is he can be a little bit of a pain. Unfortunately, he did parry, so it is what it is. We'll go ahead and take him out some other way, but if we can clear out 1 or 2 units, that will clear our way going forward. The reason that we want to go for all of this stuff, ideally, is that it allows us to have a little bit quicker access to our lady over there, who we need to go ahead and snipe down. She has a tendency to stick to the back, so anything we can do to maybe improve that situation would be ideal. There we go. We'll go ahead and drop a heal, just finish this one off, and then we'll go from there. So that's kind of one of those situations that I was talking about, where you really just want to kind of throw out ideas as they come. Sometimes you just want to throw out a quick heal for offensive reasons versus undead units if you think that the cherry tap will be enough. In order to save on time, we won't always be double-checking every action. We won't always be backtracking every action. We're not looking to be optimal, we're just looking to be quick. So, okay. So far, so good. We're carrying on as we carry on. We'll just see kind of Vice doing his thing over there. Nothing too big to worry about. Let's see. Let's go ahead and snipe you. Try to get this ghost out of the way. She will eventually start charging forward once we get to about round 3 or so. So there's that. Alright, so we'll go ahead and snipe you right here. A little bit of a dead shot type situation. They're going to start getting a little bit closer. We've got 2 units with exorcism on our team. So far, so good. There we go. 228 on you. Sounds pretty good to me. And there we go. So hopefully that should make our attack later on down the road a little bit easier. But now as it stands, we see that a couple of their units are starting to kind of sketch over towards the right there. In fact, we'll go ahead and kind of attempt to move you. Apparently his shield just plain doesn't work. Whatever. He showed up with a defective shield. What are you going to do? By the way, the reason we're trying to take additional shots with Canopus in them right now is the fact that we're going to be training some of their weapon skills up. Now, weapon skill experience will vary as kind of time goes on. Now, generally speaking, it's good to get into this kind of a habit of attacking whenever you see a reasonable chance to do so. That just kind of gives you a little bit of extra experience every now and then, but generally speaking, if you're close to your level when it comes to your skill rank, you're not going to be getting very much, but when it comes to somebody like Canopus, we want him to be training up as much as possible, and he'll usually be doing well enough that it's not really so much of an option, or not really so much of a worry that he's not really taking optimal shots. For everybody else, it might matter a little bit more. But it is what it is. Anyway, he's got no good shots. We're going to leave him right there. We're actually going to leave the caster as a caster for a very brief amount of time here for one very particular reason, which is an attempt to recruit a lizard to improve our team. This is a very brief window that's only open for a very short amount of time. So, you know, if it happens, then it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Kind of general rule of thumb on this whole setup here is just don't get stuck on just one little detail. Don't get stuck on trying to make everything exactly perfect. We'll deal with it as, you know, as time goes on. Again, things just will not be perfect. Stuff will go wrong, and we want to remain flexible and just kind of adapt and roll with the punches, as it were. Okay, so in this case, she has decided not to go forward very much, so we'll go ahead and see if we can maybe take a shot right here. That'll be a 107. That'll be pretty decent. He'll probably get punished for about a 150 or so. That's fine. Realistically, what we want right now is to get some of these ghosts and skellies out of the way, sneak some of our units by. We have a lot of weaker units up front there, like that caster is currently charging up at the front line in order to be a sort of lightning rod for their archers. So they will go ahead and abuse him as much as needed. In the meantime, though, we have our stronger units continuing to make that push forward. We'll just go ahead and throw the stack out here just to give them something to do. Again, it's just an action. Don't worry about making the exact right action. I know I've said that several times already, but, you know, worst case scenario, then maybe we'll give you some better drops. Maybe there's some better outcomes. Who knows? So, they went ahead and blocked. Unfortunate. Oh well, moving on. Currently our plan is unaffected because all of our ranged elements are getting where they need to go. That guy got knocked out, so they don't see a reason to block that tile, and so they'll go ahead and move out of the way. That's another one of those things. While it's not exactly optimal, sometimes you can just go ahead and sacrifice a unit for that particular situation. Right here, we're just going to go ahead and carve through this archer in order to get our other ranged element a little bit closer. This is why I particularly like things like archers and such, because they can continue just plinking at stuff without burning through MP, as long as they're being utilized correctly against the right targets. Now, it might be tempting to go for something like a fear and breach setup down the road, which would be ideal. There's one particular unit we'll be picking up later on in this run in order to facilitate something like that, but it's not going to be the end-all be-all. It's not going to be the main thing that we're focusing on. Alright, so in this case I'm actually moving Canopus on behind Moldova in order to hopefully get her gravitating towards the rest of the team. She might suddenly decide to go the other direction and move on to the left, but either way, we should be able to close in on her with the archers. Currently all aggro is being moved in other directions, and, you know, so far so good. Alright, so we have this archer moving in. They're not going to make a whole big of a splash up in the front there, so I'm just going to go ahead and have them fire. As far as directions that people are facing, it mattered a whole lot more in the PSP version. Generally speaking, your evasion can be pretty good when it comes to the bad weather maps and like this. But for the time being, it'll be perfectly fine that we're not necessarily taking optimal turns. Sometimes you'll just end up facing the wrong direction. Don't worry about it. We're acting like a complete spaz as it is. Either way, so there we go. There's that 167 in this particular case. Like I said, the numbers may vary a little bit depending on different situations. We see that we're probably going to be out of range to attack Moldova there. So we'll go ahead and do that. Just going to go for that second exorcism, clear out our tiles to move on forward, though realistically we've really already won this. Again, we're looking more for... this is going to be seemingly out of the blue, but we're really looking more to unlock additional options as the game goes on, more so than trying to make particular ones overpowered or whatever else, just because that's really the way to be overpowered, just having the right tool for the right job. So in the case of Canopus, in the case of Denim, they're going to be two heavy hitters that are always going to be available, so we're going to consistently leave them up in the front, trying to collect experience on different weapon types, so like switching between axe and bow right here. Technically he could have gone for the bow shot, but we want to make sure that he's got that available. And there we go. As you can see, we're doing just fine with the short bows right now. There's going to be certain situations where we're going to want to have access to long bows later. But for the time being, that'll do the job just fine. We get our light charm at this point. We're going to go ahead and never use that because that's just going to be a liability. Anyway, we've gone ahead and level capped the entire team, and now we'll go ahead and make one of our first shop runs right here. We're not going to do anything as far as these guys go. Dawn is alright, Sarah's alright. Voltaire we're pretty much never going to use, but we're going to have him on the team just for the hell of it. We're going to go for the castle at this point, at which point more things will become available. We'll skip a cutscene, and we'll go ahead and go to the shop and pick up some class marks. Sell our coins because we can, and we'll go over here, we go over to the class marks. We want to pick up some archer marks, and we want to pick up some mage knight marks. Pick up 3 warrior marks, and then at that point we're going to go down here, we're going to pick up some war rings, generally speaking just as many as we can for the time being, and then we're also going to go down here, we're going to pick up a couple of, where the hell are they, the Dynasty King's Meads. We're just going to pick up a few of those, and then we're pretty much good to go from here. Alright, so we now go for Gold Boar's a Plain. And at this point, we're going to leave Denim as he is. We're going to put Sarah into the team. We're going to go ahead and give her a ring. And we're going to go ahead and swap out her chain for some leather. We're also going to go ahead and go over to Denim. We're going to go ahead and switch him over to Archer. At this point, just going to give him a little bit more stuff to play around with. He will be more useful in some of their situations right now, but we want to have access to those bows. Anyway, so he's going to have that right there. I mean, granted, he already had access to bows. Every class that he's going to use is going to have access to bows, but it's perfectly fine. We're going to swap out some lines right here. Miles will continue doing his thing. He is essentially here to be squishy. And additionally, at this point we gain access to sleep, which is going to help us out for clearing Chapter 1 a little bit faster. Our knight over here needs to get access to some skills, because we kind of forgot to equip those last time. We're going to go for this, we're going to go for Phalanx, and we're going to go for the Recruit. So Recruit's the big one right now. So we're going to have a Recruit on as many characters as we can. Phalanx, Rampador, all of that kind of stuff is pretty handy, just to make stuff not able to get away, but we want to have a lot of Recruit on hand. So lots of Recruit, lots of Meditate, Meditate will become more useful as time goes on, but for the time being, that'll do. We'll also go ahead and swap him out for the War Ring right here. We'll also additionally, yeah, Sarah's already got hers. I will also swap in Canopus, give him his War Ring. He's currently got his whole deck set up right here, except for his gloves, which should be, whatever, that'll be fine. Actually, he's, at this point, we're going to go ahead and put his Fair Recruit on here. That's going to mess with my head as time goes on. But we're going to need that down the road. Also, if my voice sounds funny, I apologize. It is super cold, so my nose is just being weird right now. Alright. Anyway, you go here, you've got wind, you've got shots, you take damage, moving on.
Warriors.
Yes. Alright. So moving right along, you go here. I know it seems weird to switch them over to longbows already, but basically we've already got our other frontliners covered, and it'll be fine for the time being. We'll definitely want to maybe optimize this a little bit better down the road. Fair warning, by the way, the great bow is kind of a piece of trash. We're going to be upgrading to longbows as soon as we possibly can. It just is what it is. Like, just to show you the difference there, the actual stat difference between your starting archer and Sarah is not too major, but the difference between their bows is pretty significant. I'm not sure if anything functions differently when it comes to maybe what hand stuff's in or whatever else, but yeah, the early game bows suffer quite a bit. Any darn ways. So basically we're switching Denim over to archers for two particular reasons. For one thing, we want to, as I mentioned earlier, have access to his finisher a little bit sooner. So we just want him to have the range to practice on stuff a little bit sooner, and also we want to be able to switch him over for a long-range bow as soon as we get to those griffs, so that he can reach them on time. Yeah, it's arguable over which is technically more optimal or whatever else, but honestly, right now it doesn't matter. We're just trying to rush through. There's a lot of, I mean, there's going to be a million little optimizations that I'm sure folks can make here or there. I'm going to bring them up when I see them. But you know what? Stuff will get missed. Like I said, I'm very bad at remembering to do very particular things, which is why I prefer to just sort of adapt on the fly. So, very ideally, we want to have that Amazon over there on the right. The reason for this is because of the fact that they've trained primarily as a warrior unit over there, they tend to hit particularly hard. I don't know why, they just always seem to hit unusually hard for that particular unit. I mean, in that case, yeah, they were hitting on strong elements and stuff like that. But I just mean, in general, they always seem to stick out as a fairly hard-hitting unit. But anyway, we're going to see if we have any recruits coming up pretty soonish here. We've got a knight that's going to take an action. They're hopefully going to be able to recruit this one. Like I said earlier, general rule of thumb here is just going to be throw out recruits as soon as you see that somebody's health is running low. Ideally, as if you think that they're below 5%, or if you think that their hit odds are above 5%, just go ahead and go for it. It's just going to be a good rule of thumb. Don't worry about trying to optimize the odds. Just hit, run, you know, talk as you can, kind of, you know, do whatever you can, but realistically just throw it out there as an option. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Just move on. You're not going to get them all. You're not always going to get the same units. It's not going to be perfect. It is what it is. In some cases, you're just recruiting somebody to have them off the field. In some cases, they're going to be able to help you. One way or another, it's a benefit. Alright, so. Ended up missing the shot entirely. Oh well. It's fine. He still took a shot. He still got some experience. That'll do. Alright. They went for the heal. Hopefully our knight will have a chance to recruit that one before Lenar has a say in the matter. We'll go ahead and start moving on this way. We don't want to deal with this guy just yet, so we'll go ahead and take our admittedly low % sleep odds. Whatever. It is what it is. Alright. We're in the back. Go for the stab. They go for the counter. He got his rank up, which won't really matter that much. Really, it's only the finisher ranks that we care about. And we'll go ahead and throw that out right there. 6%. It's whatever. If it happens, it happens, like I said before. Technically, one way that you can also go about it is to actually go ahead and turn him into Rune Fencer, or turn Denim into Rune Fencer at this point. Arguably, it's the far more optimal way to do it, simply due to the fact that you'd have access to recruit, and you really wouldn't be giving up anything offense-wise, but I'm just kind of doing a minor little time save later, probably, maybe, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Mistakes happen. Moving on. Realistically, when it comes to To archers, unless you have access to a powerful longbow, you might as well just use something else that can use a short bow. But whatever, we're fine as we are. It's not really going to change anything too much. He's probably going to go for the kill, unfortunately. Oh well, then we attempt to go for that archer. Whatever. Like I said, we're functionally playing this like a bit of a randomizer, so we do as we do, and we carry on. Alright, Super Amazon, you want to join us, please? No health, get the block, 14%. And did it happen? No. Oh well. Moving on. You, would you like to join? I mean, look at this as kind of like the overconfident kid getting into the dating pool for the first time. That you're just basically throwing out invites wherever you can. And you know what? You're probably going to be the one running around with the most friends eventually. So, while the odds seem low, bear in mind, again, this is like 17 to 30%, give or take, that you're throwing out every round. It's going to stack up pretty quick. So, while it doesn't seem impressive at first, it will eventually end up being pretty darn worthwhile, because really all you need is like 1 or 2 recruits to completely steamroll a fight. That's one of the things that makes it so dang strong. So, anyway, let's go ahead and throw a hit right here. He's going to go ahead and try to go for the sneak sleep on that caster up there. I believe he actually might have rolled some pretty sucky mind stats, because last time around his odds to hit were about 45%. That looks like potentially a dexterity card over there, so we're going to go ahead and go try to pick that up with the archer. Yeah, that's an agility. Oh well. It's fine. It's fine. Whatever. Alright. Next up, let's see. I got a pretty solid shot on this person over here. Alright. Got a recruit chance on you. Can't really take the counter, so just go for the recruit. If it happens, it happens, same as before. In this case, we're going to go for the stab, and we're going to move on. He's probably going to get knocked out, but that's fine. Hopefully we're going to replace him with this other unit. Alright. What do we got coming up next here? We got you. You're going to go for one of these, and then you're going to go for one of these. So 76, he could go for the finish on the caster over there. But if we can just go ahead and have him bully Bapal, the sword fighter, then, you know, there's that. Or Brezin, sorry. Sword fighter Brezin, who doesn't use a sword, but he's a gladiator kind of situation. Which actually, that was another one of those weird cases of I thought it was new and reborn, but I guess it was kind of always there. In terms of his gladiator backstory, I just kind of never really read about it. It was just sort of a hee-hee, ha-ha, look, the guy doesn't use a sword kind of thing. Alright. And they get knocked out immediately, but that's perfectly fine. Next up, I'm going to go for you. Well, that guy's not going to be joining us for Rush Hour 3. Anyway, let's go ahead and pop you then. Probably should have gone for the Tremendous. Oh well. Again, there's going to be a lot of oh well. You know what? You're going to notice these little bits and pieces that you forget to do here or there, and it's perfectly fine. You just make up for it in another round. Really, the umming and awing will end up taking far more time than anything else. Alright, so, let's see. Oh, dang. Yeah, I've been trying to sell off a lot of things that, well, they were kind of held as keepsakes for a while in order to try to salvage this whole computer situation that's been going on right now. I gotta say, it's been surprising to see the actual numbers flying around for some of these things. Like old Zelda games, like what on earth are those prices that they're going for right now? Alright, anyway, so in this case, he can pick up a second Fizz card that ended up spawning pretty darn well. Like I've said in the past, the Vartan is just pretty much a optimal card spammer. Later on down the road, we'll be switching him out for a longbow once the fights become a little bit less nimble, but either way. We'll deal as we'll deal. For the time being, what are your odds of sleep? Don't know, don't care, throw it out there. Let the physical hitters deal with the physical hits, otherwise we're going to attempt to put them to sleep. Not seeing any perfectly good recruits here, but whatever. Let's go ahead and put the Tremendous on you and have you take out that Cleric. It's probably going to be enough to do her in, maybe, kind of, sort of. It's decent. It'll do. Alright. next up, this guy's running low. Let's see if we can recruit him. Again, just spam recruit wherever you can. Bit of an unfortunate back battle there. If you see somebody that... shouldn't have gone for the 0%. If you see somebody that is going running better equipment, you're better off just getting a better unit than trying to go for anything else. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and attempt to go for the recruit on this lady. Probably going to be pretty low odds, but if it happens, that's her out of the rain, or out of the game entirely. Again, you know, just take those odds where you got them. You just take your shot, I guess. It's fine. Whatever. We will deal. We will deal. But this is what bad luck looks like right now, so, you know what? I'd say the odds of good luck are looking pretty solid later on down the road. Alright. Next up, Archer, go ahead and finish off the Cleric. Good deal. That's that one gone, because we're not going to really have time for anything else beyond that. We're going to slot in that warrior that we ended up getting, because she's a two-hander, so if you see a heavy two-hander kind of unit, more likely than not, they're going to be pretty darn handy, and as time goes on, you'll end up seeing more and more cases where you'll end up having access to just kind of units with finishers built in. So rather than trying to train somebody, you can always go for that. And if you ever wondered how to get the Stubborn Wretch line, just get this guy to low health when Vice has a turn. I believe it's like 10 rounds in or something like that. And there's that. So, you know. Alright. So we get some items, get some charms, dandy, and then we move on to the next one. Alright. Get some levels, get some skills, yabbity yabbity ya. Join, and Octavia, the heavy sword lady, is in the team. This is usually the one that I end up running for the purpose of these tests. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and replace our wizard then with this one. We're going to go ahead and replace our archer for this particular fight with the cleric, or with the with this one right here, and we're going to go ahead and slot in some extra skills for you because you came with them. Yeah, we're just going to leave that as it is. We're going to give you a ring. There we go, and alright, that'll be perfectly fine as far as units go. So now we've got a heavy hitter. And what we're going to go for in this particular case is we're going to offer to help her out. Sistina is not nearly as much of a helpless duck as she was back in the PSP version, so because of the whole elemental strength thing, she's going to thoroughly dominate everything around her. So same strat as before, we take Canopus, we go ahead and circle him around the side there. I'm going to completely misclick. Thank you, button inputs. Appreciate that one so much. It is what it is, though. So we're going to go ahead and go this way. We're going to try to bait out either the Berserker or the Dragon using the Wizard. We're going to attempt to longbow everything else. The other Archer was temporarily... did I remember to take her out? Hopefully I did. Shortbow Archer needs to be replaced with Longbow Archer as time goes on. That was actually what I did. Good. Like I said, lots of ifs, whens, and setting things up, and remembering things, and doing the thing where your brain actually works, and that's kind of just the difficult thing to pull off. Alright. So, go ahead and take a hit there. You go ahead and go this way. You go ahead and go this way. Knight goes that direction, you go that direction, they do stabby, they're going to be perfectly fine. Wizard guy's going to go forward. Our main goal in this fight, simply put, is to make sure that we get a hold of that Beast Tamer. Whether we kill him or whether he joins us, we need to get a hold of that class. That's our first and primary goal. This guy's going to be ice, we've got a fire, we go ahead and fire on him with our fire unit, and that'll be just fine. Alright, basically if we can get Lanar through, he's going to start carving up their back line, and if we can pick up some attack up cards, then we can go ahead and get Canopus in position to go for that kind of one-shot snipe with his axe on the leader over there. But for the time being, you know, it is what it is. We see that there's a card up on the roof, so that's basically calling his name right there. Actually, we might as well have Canopus charge forward. Actually, we're going to go ahead and take advantage of the pincer in this situation. Or apparently not. Okay. Kind of forgot he didn't have a pincer. That'll be fine, I guess. I guess it'll be okay. We're going to go ahead and go for the axe on you, because we've got elemental advantage. So we'll go ahead and take that. See if there's anyone that decides to get their cards removed by moving forward in that situation. Let's get you moving over this direction. Yeah. I don't want to attack with the hammer right here. I was hoping to recruit him, but whatever. It'll do. They're gonna go that way. Alright. You need to be taking some shots on this one. Perfect. Numbers appeared above their head, and that is exactly what we're going for here. Alright. No particular things I want to do with you. There's a chance that he could have potentially sniped the Earth unit with a shock lance over there, but not going to bother. Not going to be worth attempting it from that direction. This might work, but it can't. In that case, just go for the sleep. Alright, perfectly fine. Next up, we got you. Just shoot at this one, please. Might get them one step closer to getting taken out. That would be good. Alright. Well, I mean, that's not too bad. Yeah, so Bolus is going to sit there and just kind of heal up everybody. Is what it is. They're going to punch. Unfortunately, that's going to get in the way of our recruitment plans, but oh well. Yeah, she's getting a little bit low in health, but we'll be perfectly fine. Yeah, you just charge on forward. We're getting a little bit stuck here, unfortunately. We want to try to push forward as much as we can pretty soon here. There we go, that'll do just fine. We can go ahead and take a swing right there. This is going to take our recruit off the table. We can go ahead and go pick up this card over here. He's got wind, he's got 3 good targets. This one's looking like the most tempting, but unfortunately it's not going to quite work. Let's go for that one instead. There we go. Let's see if maybe... yeah, there's no chance there. Well, I should have moved her back, but that would take a little bit of extra time, and I just don't want to. Alright. So we see that we've got Fencer coming up pretty soon here. We've got the marks. That's exactly what we needed. And he's going to go up here, he's going to pick up his stuff, and he's going to go for the lightning bow right here. He got himself a boost, so he should be doing decent enough. Next up, we got you. You should be attacking on neutral right there. Going to be looking a lot better there. Probably should have gone for the tremendous, but didn't. So, well. Alright, next up, you have a chance to finish this one off. Just barely not finishing it off, so that actually might be a good recruit. Maybe go for one like these. Good. I was kind of hoping that they would go for the charge there. So there seems to be a rule where about 3 parts in, certain leaders will just charge forward, even if they have better actions to potentially take, so please bear that in mind. In that particular case, that's kind of what happened there. Like, they reasonably... oh, excuse me. Reasonably speaking, they probably should have attempted the heal. But they just simply decided not to. Okay. Go for the axe. Go for the axe. And there we go. 6%, but screw it. We'll try. You're saying there's a chance. And that chance has just died. Thanks, Lanar. Rude. Anyway... Archer is in rough position to be picked up by that knight. We'll see if that ends up working out. Not quite. Oh well. Anyway, we can start working on you then. Alright. Next up. I don't think she's going to get hired. Might be a little bit hard at that point. I hear you kind of need a head to speak, but you know, stranger things have happened. Anyway, so we don't have our breach set up going just yet, so we're going to go ahead and just kind of raw power this guy. Canopus will be there to give a big hit, but for the time being we haven't set up our breach ability just yet. After this fight is when that will be implemented. We really need to get that tamer over there. I just realized that I thought I did, and I didn't. Good job, Brain, doing fantastic work here today, but we need this dude. We need this dude very importantly right now. Alright. So, considering recruitment is going to be a bit more difficult, we're going to go ahead and go for the kill on him, so that we can turn one of our other units into a tamer. Because, yeah, their leader is going to be doing leader-type stuff, and we need this guy to be doing corpse-type stuff and or getting recruited. I believe, actually, I did run Fencer the last time through, that's why I was kind of expecting that he was already done. Anyway, details. Details. We just continue shooting at this guy, and we move on. Alright, they fired there. Who do we got next? you attack him. Unfortunate. I was kind of hoping they might go down the middle, but it'll do. Anyway, there's one guy down. There's Tamer moving forward. Let's see, we've got Vice. Yeah, Vice goes for Bird. Bird might be recruitable down the road. You go for this, because we're going to need your axe powers in a moment. Canopus, you need to see if you can Shopify this guy's Brainicle. There you go. Any recruit for you? Not particularly, no. Just go right here. Block his movement. Keep this guy locked away right here. Save the heals for later. Unfortunately, we can't quite tame this dragon, so it is what it is. You are going to go ahead and take off a huge chunk off of this guy's health to help support us down the road. There we go. Alright, next up, you are going to claim some Beast Hammer marks. There we go. We might actually switch that Air Knight over there over to the Tamer in question. Just because he's already got axes equipped, and we got the Beast Hammer marks now, so there's that. It's not going to be quite enough to kill off that dragon, unfortunately, but it did give us a free crit card. I cannot tell you how good it feels to be able to pick up cards after every episode of Nothing Burger. It's one of those challenges that just became this weird, unfortunate mind goblin every single time. It's a whole thing. Anyway, I need to stop second-guessing with Sarah here and actually remember to equip her skills at some point. That bird just made himself available to be recruited and almost died in the process. Okay, cool. Never mind, he's dead. Oh, whatever. Screw it. At this point, we're just making no friends. Let's just go and demolish everything. Alright. That's fine. We're still getting stuff. Again, we're just looking to get whatever we can get. We're not looking for anything very specific. We got what we got, and that's all that we need. Yeah, I did see the Fizz card spawn. I wasn't quite sure if it was a Fizz card. Realistically, I'm losing time by picking up that card, and then losing even more time by backing off the card, but you know what? Whatever. Let's go ahead and finish this guy and move on. RuneScape logic, wizards attack tanks, and off we go. Okay. Bow, got a Beast Fang, so that's one of those reasons that you want to try to kill off some of the monster units along the way. So specifically in Chapter 2, there will be some cockatrices we'll be killing off, and over here there will be those that we'll be killing off in order to pick up some cat claws down the road. We fight for some pizza, and we move on. Go to Fidok. Dandy dandy.
That night.
Mine. He's right.
We tell Cashra to piss off. There's a way cooler faction we could be joining. And at this point, we will go ahead and go to the shop, and we will pick up a couple of Aegon plumes. Alright, so, if you're feeling confident in your hitting odds, like if you've picked up a whole bunch of extra units, all well and good, but if you want to have that little bit of extra oomph, you're going to want to pick up some plumes. So now we have one fight in which we can prepare, then we have the longest frickin' cutscene in the game that we can just go ahead and skip. But we move on to Bordeaux, aka the borderline here. So at this point, we'll go ahead and probably just throw in our original archer here. Go ahead and give her a upgraded bow at this point. Go ahead and improve her attack power a little bit. Go for this. Go for the circlet. In general, like, you want to be going for circlets on many of your units, just because, yeah, the amount of power that you get off them defensively is pretty solid. I don't even know why I keep checking for that at this point. You need ring. That's what I was looking for. You need ring, you need armor, because you're looking a little bit squishy these days, so go for armor. Improves your strength a little bit as well. What the hell was I looking for? You. Why do you not have concentration? Fix that. That is a problem. That is not a good time. He's got access to cokes, and we'll go ahead and move on here. Alright. Lake Bordeaux. I think we're probably going to end up just going ahead and pivoting out of the plan I mentioned earlier and just kind of switch Denim over to a fencer at this point rather than going back for longbows. Just going for the strengthened strat instead. Again, this is just what I mean about you can just kind of adapt on the fly. I forgot one item, so I can go ahead and slot in another one. Gonna be a little bit more of an issue with range, but oh well. Alright. In fact, it might not be a... kind of would be a terrible idea to make him the Team Tamer. It's not a bad class. Actually, that's another thing that I probably want to mention. We need to get out of that mindset of, like, good class, bad class. Every class is just a tool set. Like, in many cases, I see a lot talked about as far as growth charts and things like that. It's like, you know, certain classes getting a lot better growths, and then you start looking at them, and it's like, oh, it's a unique class that's available right at the very end of the game. Yeah, they better have some better growths. Otherwise, they're not keeping up. Obviously, there's more to it than that. I'm just saying, like, a lot of times stuff gets boiled down in ways that doesn't really tell the full story. Alright, so she got a little bit of a higher rank there, as you do. You got your wind. You're going to go ahead and pop this guy real quick if you can. Ideally, what you want to do is charge forward here with your squishy wizard guy. Have him serve his lightning rod roll. If he survives, wonderful. If he doesn't, whoops. But generally speaking, he's there to take hits, and ideally drop one or two instances of sleep, and hopefully that'll end up getting you somewhere. Alright. So, actually, another thing that in terms of dodge rates and things like that, you'll notice that our dodge rates are currently still perfectly fine. This will continue for the foreseeable future. Yes, they're taking 1 damage shots over here. That's fine. We'll figure out better attacks with them later. But for the time being, I'm just having them fire to train. Because every additional rank that you get gives you a little bit of extra penetration, which is good in their particular instance. Okay. You go ahead and pick up your crit card here. You go ahead and fire on this wizard guy. Those are going to be our biggest problem at this particular stage. Because the melee guys we can recruit, the wizard guys we will not be doing a whole lot of recruiting for. I picked up the wrong card with her. Let's go ahead and pick you up. There we go. Got a nice little fizz card spawn here. Again, don't try to restart going for specific cards. I'm sure that there's a certain, way to go about it that would end up being helpful, but realistically speaking, what you want to do is just kind of play around whatever you got. 0%, shouldn't have gone for that, but I did. Oh well. Okay, Knight goes forward. You go ahead and go for the heal. You're our healing unit after all. Go ahead and go heal up Mr. Rafi over here. As you do, Ravenous is usually going to be pretty good at dealing with particular spots by herself. Man, oh man, they're doing really, really good on these parries this time around. Alright. After that, we'll head on in this direction, I suppose. He's got ice, so we're going to have him target some wind units, which they don't have, for the most part anyway. One of the downsides of having this backup laptop situation that I've been doing is having to keep my neck craned left this entire time. It's kind of a little bit less than cozy, I must say. Alright. You continue working on this guy. Hopefully we'll have him within our sights to be recruited pretty soon. I am running one less recruiter than last time, which is not really doing any wonders for us, but again, this is more of a proof of concept than anything else. Okay. Where are you? You're this one, you go this way, you got fire, you need to be hitting on some ice. You got that right over here. Give this guy a big old whackety whack, and there you go. You've got some water over here. They've got some fire over nowhere. Just shoot this one, I guess. That'll do. Got a few units that are a little bit beefed up. We're not going to bother too much with those at the moment. I'm going to be taking some fairly low odds going into that attack right there, but I want to block off that tile. Go for the stab on this guy. Go for the recruit. 15%. We'll make it live. There we go. Perfect. Next up, why don't we have you take a quick little back step here, pick up this card, take this shot over here. Would have been nice to see that crit, but oh well. So yeah, with the whole recruit thing, again, it doesn't take very much to deploy whenever throwing it out there. It gives you a chance to finish off a unit. It gives you a chance to kind of perma-charm a unit while also getting access to them. And worst case scenario, you pop them in the head and they're gone anyway, so there's that. It's just another opportunity that's giving you to do stuff, you know? right here, that's an attack that we otherwise wouldn't have had access to. So that suddenly allows us to clear this whole area a little bit better. And it's going to be low chances to recruit that guy, which just improved. So we might be able to snowball this right now. Didn't happen. Oh well. Where do we want to drop that archer shot now? Probably going to be on that cleric over there. Or not cleric, but the caster over there. He is his team's cleric. There we go. Dandy. Probably marching on up this way. Attempt to pick up that fizz card at some point. Alright. Next up, we want to be dropping you because he burned through his points and he doesn't have access to his sleep right now. Oops. Okay. So, man, it is really friggin' cold. I need to find my slippers. Like, really, really friggin' cold. I'm just like sitting here wiggling my toes. Like, why is it so dang cold? Okay. Fire, they got not fire, we fire on the not fire, and fire is returned. So that was exciting. See if I pop on this guy real quick. Again, if we can get slightly higher ranks, perfect. Okay. Next up, we are just kind of looking for targets of opportunity here. I was hoping to see something a little bit better there. I want him circling around the back. To try to get them to corral around the middle so that we can get more attacks set up. But we'll deal as we'll deal. Next up, let's see. You got your mighty on hand, so let's go ahead and slap you around. Currently speaking, this is not going particularly well in terms of everything here. Like, this is workable right now, but I can say that we're definitely not getting a fantastic time for sure. Let's finish that guy off, and moving on. But we'll more than likely end up making up for that somewhere else. That's always how this tends to go. But as soon as you have a unit on hand, you can go ahead and start bum rushing additional units, like the leader right here. Our primary unit that we want to have rushing is currently unavailable. This guy has a whole lot of lighter weight units, as well as this crossbow hawkman over here. If you can get access to this guy early, he can be pretty good for cleaning up the back line, but as it is, it's fine just leaving him where he is. Let's see, basic soldier guy looks like a tempting target right now. We'll attempt to recruit him next. Must look like a complete deranged mob of Girl Scouts to the to the leader over here. So this dude showed up and just kept talking to everybody. We just couldn't get him to shut up. I don't even know what to make of that. Who the hell does that? Alright. There's some no one going on in the next room. Alright. Pick up your card. You go ahead and finish off Mr. Birdman. Hello, Bird. Goodbye, Bird. You are now one less turn. Now we're completely out of position to deal with this guy right now. The very ideal here would be to have him not parry absolutely everything. But it is what it is. These things happen every now and then. Again, this is why we plan for what we can plan for, not attempt to get mad at what we can't. So, we can now go in, and we can do something like this, where we just start hacking away at him. He's going to have way too much stuff going on to bother healing himself, so he'll be perfectly fine as is, and we can start getting some other units in position. Now, unfortunately, as it stands, there we go, we will be, we're going to start seeing some of our backline get carved up a little bit. Didn't notice that soon enough, again, as you do. I can't say it's the perfect run, but it is what it is. Alright. Shield bashed as they do. You get some units getting knocked down. There's our longbow. Perfect. You go ahead and take a whack right there. You're going to block off this tile to hopefully prevent him from escaping. We've got Denim coming up and taking a turn pretty soon here. You got a Tremendous, got an Ice. Do you have any Wind? No, but you got this one. You can hit it too. That's, I mean, it's certainly a number. It's an even number even, so, you know. Take that as you will. There's that. Alright, now that we are continuing to witness the most stuff that can go wrong on the river fight. Alright. And the test runs that I did of this one were dramatically smoother. There we go. We get one more. Okay. That one. Again, he's just got too much issues with his other units right now to bother healing them all. They're going to get punched. Canopus is going to continue carving up this dude. There we go. Perfect. It's kind of the crit I was hoping for. Alright. Next order of business. Get this unit, and then move forward to where I kind of needed you to be earlier. Now, there is some definite optimization to be done by, for example, skipping some of those cards to skip the card pickup animation. But again, on a run this long, I really don't think anyone's going to care to optimize that much. It is what it is. I feel like the level of lunacy required to even complete this run in the first place is kind of a thing of its own. Take sword, apply to face, move this way, and you are done. Unconscious over there, you go over here, do the thing, with the stuff, and the things, and the pew-pews, and there we go, take a few more ranks. You'll end up getting a longbow next round, and that'll be fantastic, but in the meantime, go ahead and hit the student with a hammer. Hit them with a hammer from the other side, and that's just a good time overall to be had by all. You're not the one with the tremendous shot. One of these days I'll remember to equip it, because I keep looking at the menu and just forgetting that exists. Okay. Anyway, he's going to go take a turn, he's going to take an attack, and he's going to take a retaliatory attack. As he do. He's now going to get punched in the back of the head, and that should be that. And they needed more dudes. He was very, very upset that they only sent him a parakeet. Alright, got some peregrine marks. That's actually pretty handy because that allows us to switch Canopus out to longbows later. If we potentially need to extend his range for a fight here or there. We get this guy. This guy's got really high vitality that could be useful for a push later on down the line. But as it stands, we got two things that we want to do. First of all, Sarah, please remember your tremendous shot so I stop mind goblining myself. Thank you. A lot of units have access to Constitution at this point. That is generally going to be pretty darn useful, especially for you because you kind of need it. You're also going to need to equip your leather, and you're also going to equip your longbow. Where the hell's that longbow? They must have picked it up. Well, that is some stuff. Okay, whatever. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to take a quick little detour over here. We're going to go over to the shop. I'm going to hit the wrong buttons because, of course, you do. That's just how you do this thing. I'm professionally doing it wrong for handicap or something. Yeah. That's exactly what's going on. Don't question me. All right. Next up, we got longbows. Switch over to show class equipment or other. Let's see, longbow for you, and then also longbow for you. All right. Now, the reason that we're not going for the optimize approach is because it will get rid of their stat equipment, and it will end up giving them the highest attack equipment, but it'll also give them the highest kind of base stat armor. Alright, next order of business, also you are now done with your previous task. You are now going to switch over to Rune Fencer. We also need somebody to be a lobber. So we'll sort that out in just a second. I'm actually fine having you as a switch archer. As long as you've got access to recruit, I don't care. I'm gonna switch this out for Constitution, switch this out for a heal if you got one, you don't. Well, War Ring, Light Pence, because shorts are fantastic for shooting, everybody knows this. Next up, we need a lobber. You, sir, are absolutely trash when it comes to actually fighting anything, so why don't you go ahead and do that. There we go. Alright. At this point, we're going to do a few things. We're going to put lobber, we're going to put Constitution, we're going to put Subdue. The Subdue will be useful in Chapter 2. In the meantime, it's just kind of there. Until then, we've got two needs, and we've got access to this one as well as this one. Alright. He is going to be our dedicated item guy. Technically speaking, we could have Denim boost himself, but it's a good idea to stack all of your items on just a few units, potentially spreading out your revive items through maybe a few more core team members down the road, just because you don't want to be trying to figure out who the hell has what equipped, since trying to go through your entire team to get all of them back can be a little bit of a pain. Alright, so at this point we are kind of trying to set up a situation where we're going to be attempting to breach and hopefully two-tap those griffs over there. So Strengthen isn't technically speaking, Strengthen does the same thing, but it's not nearly as potent as it was in the previous version. So like a stat card, or rather a attack up card, will be something to the tune of like 50% bonus damage, whereas something like the Strengthen buff will only be about 15 or so effectively, or something like that, according to the data miners. So either way, that is what it is. We'll be switching this guy right here out to something else later on down the road, but until then, got a few options. So always bear in mind that if you're using items, the lobber, if you need to adjust where some of these turns are happening, the lobber will essentially also allow you to throw an item a little bit slower. This is kind of niche in terms of its application, but if you need certain units to be kind of doing certain things at certain times, it can potentially be pretty handy. Now the Griff on the left there has a tendency to be the first one forward. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to set up a thing like this where we want them to approach as quickly as possible. Longbows will be able to reach them at this point, so you can go ahead and pop a few shots off. As it stands, it's not terribly impressive, but for now we're just looking to get some scratch damage off. You only need to deal 600, so we did those initial shots just to have something out there, and we're going to spread everybody out so that they have lots of potential landing zones. The reason that we want to do this is because eventually they'll find a tempting target, they'll charge forward, and they will attempt to land on your side, at which point you can just beat the ever-living Christ out of them. So again, either one of the two Griffins or Gant needs to go down, and then that's the end of that. So in this particular case, we should be just barely out of range here for this breach, unfortunately. So we're going to leave him right there to sit and await his turn. Oh, my nose! My nose! It is this up. Yeah, I guess that's probably the other reason that this is going to be a segmented run rather than a completed one, because I need to go blow my dang nose. It's the pits, quite frankly. It is some serious dog doo-doo, and I hate it. Okay. It's going to seem weird. We're going to snipe this bow guy, or we're going to snipe this bird guy. A few of them have healing items, so there's going to be a few cases where we are going to be attempting to specifically attack certain units to try to get them to burn those healing items instead of attempting to heal the bird if he happens to get close. Ideally, we don't even run into that situation, but it's just a little bit of a preparatory thing. So we're just kind of throwing that out there as it is. I believe it's both of the Hawks that will be carrying those. There we go, he's going to go for that. Hopefully he doesn't land the stun. Did not land the stun. We have our breach coming up, unfortunately, right after our longbow. Sucks, but it is what it is. These things just line up this way sometimes. So, we go ahead and take our landing bow right there. Pew pew, he's going to miss. You suck. Why do you suck so bad? We might have to fire that guy sooner than expected. Anyway, you go this way, go ahead and take a shot. Downside of longbows, unfortunately, is that their bow is long, and that means that it's got a big dead zone. Boo. Fine. Just gonna go ahead and be that way then. Oh well. XCOM odds are gonna XCOM, so at this point, we now go ahead and throw the need to breach, and this basically means that he is now going to be a couple of light taps away from being iced. But we want to have him as close as possible because we don't want to just start dumping damage as soon as we can. The breach will not be getting any effect when it comes to magical damage, and it will also not really be benefiting us any when it comes to like if we can just, for example, start trying to bar dump him right now, it just won't do anything particularly useful. They'll just be able to heal out of it, and that's that. We want to be able to set it up where we can kind of take one shot, another shot, another shot, and we're done. So, let them get to it. Yeah, it doesn't seem like the healers want to actually heal this time around, so we might be all good there. They're deciding to be extra aggressive. The reason that we put Coax on that wizard earlier is just on the off chance that we don't need to switch him out. There's a small chance to pick up that lizard over there on the right. The opportunity didn't end up presenting itself, so we're just kind of carrying on. Alright, we got Canopus over there, dropping us 124. We've got the Griffin turned around at this point. Anyway, he's going to go that way. He's well out of range of any support. There we go, we got the timing right on the skip that time around. That's when you want to do it, like right as it's moving in. Just kind of show that that is something that we can do. Hopefully Chariot gets our turn before Denim, because that lizard just blocked my shot. That is a bummer. Well, these things happen. Alright, next order of business. We are going to go ahead and we're going to go over here and we're going to go ahead and knock this guy off his pedestal. Why? I just feel like it. Next order of business, so we're going to go over here, and then we're going to remember that we did that in order to hopefully get a better snipe at this guy, just kind of cherry tap him a little bit, since we are roughly about halfway to where we need to be in order to get him down. That bird is going to go there. That is unfortunate. Anyway, moving on. You go that direction. Gamb's going to go forward. He's going to get parried as he do. Cashra had her turn. She's going to move, and now we'll be able to take that shot I was hoping for. Okay. First things first, actually, you just take a regular bow shot. You're going to do absolutely nothing. Okay, that guy is not going to be any kind of switch archer. Screw that. By the way, when I'm referring to a switch archer, basically just a fencer with a instill plus a shot, any kind of ranged weapon can potentially be very potent. There's just kind of like a very specific dead zone they want to reach. But there we go. There's that big damage I was going for. Unfortunately, it's kind of a little bit later than I would have liked, so bleh, but whatever. Shot, that's the end of that, and we're out of here. Once you do 600, again, you're just done there and you can carry on. That is about as bad as it can potentially go, but oh well, oh well. Get some levels, get some stuff, move on, and away we go. Alright, now that we're done showing off the worst case scenario, let's go ahead and make all moves happen. Alright. First off, you're going to be switching into some other stuff in a moment. Actually, we might as well just leave them as that for the time being. We are going to just run with this, I suppose. Actually, probably replace you with you because there's going to be a lot of lightning units on this one. You're going to switch over. You know, you're fine as you are. You, sir, are completely hopeless with that short bow, so just sword and board for you, yeah? Good. Great. Glad we have this talk. Let's carry on. He's still got his recruit. We got multiple recruiters here. Honestly, melee for your fencers is going to be the better way to go in most cases anyway. Occasionally, occasionally you just want to maybe do something a little bit tricky. Doesn't always pan out. Also, apparently I was completely misremembering. It is the next one that has all that lightning on there as far as my water archer goes. Screw it. We're fine. This one's going to turn out just fine. Let's go ahead and take that shot with you. Alright. But yeah, there's a lot of reasons to run Denim with this kind of build, but his eventual build that I want to go for once we start reaching into Chapter 2 is going to be along the lines of a rapier and a short bow plus 1. Reason for this, rapier is very good at dealing with a lot of bosses, basically giving a 20% chance for their hits to do nothing, while at the same time, the short bow has a chance to stun. This basically gives him a chance to drop off debuffs while he's going and charging and kind of preparing for other actions, as it were. Again, we're not looking to make our basic attacks do very good. We're looking to make our actual effective attacks do a lot more, and just kind of preparing for them in the meantime. You want to, when you're going and attacking stuff, you just want to kind of quickly slice through stuff if the option is at all there. If we can avoid any long grinding fights, that's what we're hoping to do. But in some cases, you just want to take some plinking attacks just to get a little bit of extra training done, especially if somebody's getting behind. If they are a little bit behind on levels, they will start gaining those skill ranks pretty darn fast. So there's that. Okay. So he's going to meditate. Yes, we are going to lose a little bit of time on those meditates, but it is something that I want to make sure not to forget for later on down the road, because spear finisher spammers are going to be very, 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 very handy, especially once we get into Volges going into Giga Tempest in Chapter 4. But for the time being, we got this, whatever we want to call this, and there we go. Oh man, this guy's pretty darn hopeless, ain't he? Oh well. Is what it is. Carry on. We don't have too much in the way of fancy options for our cards. Whatever. So we go ahead and stack up on this guy. Alright. And we'll switch him out for his Rune Fencer thing right after this, as I said earlier. Why am I repeating myself? I don't know. Maybe I just forgot that I didn't remember to not repeat myself. So, yeah. That will do. And you charge forward. No coffee left in this cup. That is disappointing. I need more coffee. Plus my throat is getting ridiculously dry. Right. PP on you. Two soldiers move, then Knight moves. What's Knight gonna do? Knight is gonna do a whole lot of nothing except for maybe healing of Vice. Because we could use more of his punchy powers. It is kind of weird how the action economy in this one, like having more units in this game is faster than having less units in the PSP game. In the PSP version, just generally speaking, you wanted to have a few one-tap units, just like running around one-shotting pretty much everybody that they came across. This time around, since it's a bit more difficult to do so, you can technically still do so. It's just a kind of trickier implementation, as it were. Okay. As our lightning guy, we want to go for this one. It's kind of ballparking it, but I would assume they'd be more likely to be recruited. Now, this is going to be one of those cases where we're going to be really expecting to see a big dump of experience for this fight. So, because of the fact that they're all fairly generic, we're going to attempt to recruit as many as we can. If, you know, just kind of whatever we can get, we get. We've got one of our recruiters coming up, so you're going to take a step back here. You're going to go this direction. You're going to go ahead and just head drop on her. Perfect. Alright. Go that away. You attempt to go for that recruit, however low your odds. There you go. Yeah, your odds are 0. Maybe we'll just go ahead and forget that particular situation. You're going to finish off the archer then. Actually, the archer, maybe no. Yeah, go for that one. Yeah, in the case of the archer there, the fencer up top might actually be able to make that happen. His turn's coming up relatively soonish. Alright, so that back row archer, though, can probably go ahead and go away if they could. Perfect. No earth units. Using Fey Pact on accident, because of course I do. I never don't use Fey Pact on accident, so that's why I always have it on hand, because I always forget that it's there. And then I wonder, hey, does he have access to some extra skill? And he doesn't, but whatever. I missed the button input. That is to say, more like the thing didn't register my input. Oh well. It is what it is. Next order of business, you phalanx. Therefore, you go here, you go for this one, and you attempt to go for the recruit. And or you don't. Go for this one instead. Still 0%, unfortunately. I was really expecting that I would have been able to kind of slyly Hail Mary that. Alright, whatever. But yeah, in this fight, they have relatively okay loyalty. Some of them have very sharp dips in their loyalty. Generally speaking, though, this team is kind of afraid of you, so they're not super big on being hired. The next one has some of the higher loyalty scores that you're going to run into. But it is still very possible to get a hold of them, simply because, well, it's a fairly grindy fight up a hill, so you kind of can see a lot of attrition on both sides, meaning that you see a lot of opportunities to recruit. Okay. I don't see this particularly working out well. I was really hoping she would counter through that guy. 2%, roll it. Whatever, it's something. I know I said 5%, but screw it. One of these times it's going to roll, and I'm going to feel like an absolute genius. Alright, next up you pick up your card, you start taking out some units back here. Again, this is entirely the deal with this class. That is just ridiculously unfortunate to see a low roll to that degree. Alright. Bummer. Alright, next we go here, take a chop, take a recruit. And if it rolls 21%, you can kind of just see this as a 21% chance to do dramatically extra damage. So, whatever you see that as. Right. You moved out of the way. Kind of clear our lines here a little bit. Man, it's getting hard to talk. Earlier, Denon was taking a bit of a penalty for attacking a thing that he was weak against. You know, it's kind of reiterating that that rule is still there, because in case anyone's forgotten up to this point, it will happen. And I guarantee there will be a comment of like, I don't understand why the number went up here and then it didn't here. Oh no, the damage formula doesn't work. It is random. Mr. Matsuno has entered the game code, and he purposely just sits there reshuffling numbers just to mess with my head. Alright. Honestly, if that was a feature, would any of us really be shocked by this point? Alright. We got our Beast Hammer coming up. Beast Hammer is literally only here because I want him for one particular fight, like 3 fights from here. Just go ahead and go for the finish. Screw it. I don't think we're going to be seeing too much recruiting happening in this particular phase. Next up, take your big number, go up card, and... who can you actually target? This one? That's a number. Give that happen. Wasn't on strength, but whatever. Go for a little bit of axe training. Kabonk. As you do, you go in this direction, give this one back. Hopefully Recruiter Guy gets a little bit of recruiting done at this point. Look at this one. They're a unit. They want to be your friend. They really want to be your friend. I mean, their health is so low. Everyone wants to be your friend when their head's halfway completely cleaved off. They didn't want to. I'm a little bit disappointed. Okay. Either way, other recruiter will be going in just a moment. Go ahead and fire on this guy, I suppose. Joiner die. Good lord, I need some water. Okay. Yeah, so, again, for the record, this is like... I know I already said this, but this is, bar none, about as bad as the actual roll odds can go, and we're still doing pretty okay here. There were definitely a lot of missed inputs. There were a lot of just kind of suboptimal situations and such that ended up coming up, but still, we're doing pretty all right. All right, what about you? 42. I'll roll that. Generally speaking, when it comes to things like crits, you can kind of assume that while the odds are certainly there that they can happen, generally speaking, crits are low enough odds that they won't happen without a crit card. So there's that. Man, this dude just... dude's hanging on. He's trying. He's doing everything he can. Alright. Well, unfortunately, we wind up with a few little goblins in the back row here. So, why don't you take some shots, maybe? Take a shot for every shot that you missed. There we go. Playing one vision, you just wind up dead. That's a bad choice. There's a crit card over here. We can take this crit card. We can make it a pew pew card. And then we do this thing, and then we do the shoots, and then that guy goes out of my face. And it hurts a little bit. But he's got no strength versus that guy, so whatever. Alright. Alright, you're not going to have any actions versus this dude. One last opportunity. Would you like to join? 36%. That's about as good as it's gonna get, buddy. Alright. Actually, wait a minute. I have one more, don't I? Alright, whatever. At this point, there's really no harm in trying. Just because that could be some potentially good benefits, because this guy's got nothing else to do. Good. Alright. Perfect. In that case, you move over here. You do this. You hit this guy. And then we just sort of quietly accept the fact that this guy has become a gigantic thorn in our side. Go for the hammer, go for the Hail Mary recruit, not going to happen. I mean, again, it seems weird that we go for so many recruits in this situation, but bear in mind, again, there are those situations where, like, you'll have maybe 5% odds and you've basically just dealt, like, freaking 400 damage with a single off-action move, you know? So, there's that. I know it seems weird, but just take it from somebody that plays this thing obsessively. It's a pretty solid exchange. I have a feeling the time must have been dramatically lower this time around, though. I don't even... a little bit depressed to look at how slow this one went in comparison to that last one. Ooh, well... Yeah, we'll see how it goes. If they could stop getting knocked back, that would be absolutely wonderful. I mean, there we go. That's something. Right. You go ahead and take a shot, end this fight. Right. Alright. It's fine. It's fine. There we go. Skip. Also kind of already automatically memorizing where all the Little time skips are pretty handy. By the way, one of the reasons that we go for that cheap rapier upgrade for Chapter 2 there, you're pretty much guaranteed a rapier right there. It just kind of is a thing that happens. Alright, they talk, they do stuff.
You are with me.
Alright, so the reason that we go for Chaos here, simply because Chaos is going to have more leader kill fights, more shorter fights. Alright. And then the final part, right here. We switch out for some melee guys, we switch out our longbows for a lot of punchy frontline hitters. We keep some around just kind of because. Alright, first off, you are actually fine as you are. Where the hell is that other one? You. You're going to become a knight. We're going to get more marks later on down the road, but for now I want him recruiting stuff. Ideally, probably would be going fencer on him, but whatever. At this point, it's fine. Next up, you are going to be switching over to fencer. And the reason for this is because, again, we're going to be going up a hill, so we want to dramatically improve our situation there if we can. Front weapon is going to be rapier, back weapon is going to be the short bow here. Switch out for dex to improve our offense a slight bit. Switch out for swords. We want access to that rending gale as soon as possible. Switch out for a recruit, and away we go. Alright, expect a couple losses here, by the way. Like, don't bother going back to save people. If they don't make it, they don't make it. We're functionally playing this as if we're playing Gain Ground, which, by the way, if you've never played it, is a pretty fantastic Genesis game. Where the basic idea is that you just kind of charge forward and you attempt to get your entire team through, but if you can't, you carry on. And for some reason, the easy mode is dramatically harder than the other modes. Because you have to get, like, friggin' 15 units across rather than just 3. But, anyway. Alone. Lots of charging forward, lots of going up this hill. One on the right, the rest are charging forward. This is going to be one of the few cases where we're going to be using a breach on a non-boss enemy in order to carve through the frontline knight as quick as we can. Hopefully get them on our team. If we don't, we don't. Alright. There, you go there. So Denim over here is going to be attempting to go after that Enchantress in the back. Everybody else is going to attempt to encircle those units in the front. We're going to attempt to encircle, we're going to attempt to recruit. Again, same old, same old. We spam recruit, and we attempt to stop their advances as best we can. We're going to pick up this magic card not to actually improve our casting abilities in any way, but simply to deny it to any of their frontliners should they gain access to it, and to kind of hold off to allow these guys to charge forward a little bit better. We're running a little bit lean on healers right now. You ideally want to have at least 2 at this point, but again, we're just sort of winging it. Okay. Perfect. Because of the rain, your dodge odds are going to be pretty darn good here, so wouldn't worry too much about that. Currently we've got at least 1 healer. I don't think Colson actually has a heal at this point. Well, let's see. Snight, you go this way. Not going to bother going for the skill up because we're not necessarily relying on phalanx. It's just nice when it happens. If we pick up the skill card, that is going to dramatically slow us down. Okay. Looks like Cashua's coming up. They're going to do their thing. If you want to get a little bit more offense out of Cashua, you can always equip a Spirit Surge on her. That's one extra thing to do at the store. If it's your preferred method, she can potentially be pretty useful. Personally, I don't mind if she ends up getting taken out a few times and just kind of functions as a bit of a meat shield and recovery for the party. Healing doesn't scale off of stats that much, so you can potentially get some better returns by just simply letting her get taken out repeatedly. Just she'll end up healing, she'll end up serving as a magnet for the party. Losing her doesn't really do anything. That's just kind of the early fight benefit, so to speak, and that's about that. Continue charging forward, you go here. 2 units, 9 moves forward, units down there, that's not going to help us very much. Again, we're going to encircle and capture as best we can. It doesn't matter who we're capturing, it doesn't matter how we're doing it. whatever units we get, and if we need to swap somebody out if they're falling behind, we just immediately swap them out and we carry on forward. The important thing is not to get stuck. There we go, we're starting to make some progress there. Next up, we're going to actually shield bash you. If you can go for shield bashes on heavies, that will be a solid approach. They won't give you counterattacks in that case, and you can sort of break up their line a little bit. This is why those counter spears or counter breach spears and counter poison spears will be pretty big down the road, because they get attacked, they spread a debuff that the AI has a hard time dealing with, and it's just generally a good time. Dang it. Ended up hitting the wrong thing again. Okay. This is fine. That is less fine. That is kind of fine. And that is 73. It is a number. I don't think it's actually a prime number of anything. Actually, wait, is 73 a prime number? I don't remember. Is this information actually useful for us in any way? No? But it does seem to come up quite often, doesn't it? Why exactly does 73 come up so often? Is it a conspiracy? No, but it's fun to think it is, you know? 79, for reasons. You go here for also reasons. AoE casters can be pretty handy for these kinds of situations. For the time being, though, we're just going to carve through as best we can. Just going to go ahead and breach you, I think. It's going to help carve our way through. As we go on, the lobber breach will kind of be, will start becoming self-sustaining. Like, we'll get enough bottle breaches, but realistically, most of the breach is going to come from our weapons and such. So it's going to be far less of a factor than it is right now. Oh crap, this guy doesn't even have a heal. Okay. It's not going to need it anyway. Perfectly fine. He's dead. That's a bit of a downside. Any darn ways. Let's go ahead and axe you. I'm just going to have to take that guy out. Let's see. Air failings. Where are you going to go? Right here. Attempt to recruit this one. Health is at 50%. 4% is not 5. I'm breaking my own rule, but screw it. Okay. Again, we're just kind of rushing through at this point. We'll pick up better units as time goes on, but for the time being, these guys are going to be fairly dinky. This one, probably going to have no odds to recruit here. But should be the ideal one to get a hold of at this point. Just having a caster to attack from overhead. Then their units are going to replace our units, and then we charge on forward. As it goes on, recruiting units will generally be faster than training your own. You'll just start getting into more and more of those situations where your own guys are just not quite necessarily up to the task as much. Like they maybe need an extra fight or two in order to actually fully be trained up. I really wish they'd stop getting knocked back when I'm setting up for a recruit. I will. No, I went for the 0%. Screw it. It happened, and we carry on. Next up, you get hit for 108. You go ahead and take the whack here as well. Can't get access to that fizz card, unfortunately. You're going to go over here and smack this lady, though you are currently running at a disadvantage in that scenario. You go here, go for this one, probably looking at no % odds, I'm assuming. Yep. Alright. Mighty Impact. And this is why I really like picking up that particular Amazon there. I don't know why they always seem to kind of perform better than the other ones. Maybe they're guaranteed to come with some better stats or something. I don't know. They don't seem to stick out that much on paper, but dang it if they aren't always reliable. Should have gone for the axe head there. Oh well. Again, deals one deal. Currently not super optimal, especially because we lost one of our recruits. She's repeatedly healing herself. It's generally going to be a little bit slow. Like, we're in no danger of losing this right now, but, like, you know, it could be going better. Like I said, the actual completion time on this is going to be fairly appalling, given how badly this has gone, but I'm sure you get the general idea. Last time around, I believe I had 5 different recruits by this point. Anyway. Alright, we're not going to get that archer. I'm sick of this crap right now. That That made me jump. Okay. Stuff was selling, and eBay is just like, oh, ding, 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 ding. But then you turn it off, and then it gets mad that you don't check on your messages, and then they give you a call like, it's suspicious that you didn't check on all your messages. Like, I'm sorry, I was doing stuff. Yep. Probably should have gone for one with a breach, but that's fine. There we go. Keep taking advantage of that breach. Boy, there's no one within range that is recruitable for you, is there? Dang, this is going great. Everyone's totally out of position right now. Yeah, ideally you want to have everybody, obviously, within position to actually recruit somebody if they're going the recruitment route, but oh well. Kennison should be running Berserk at this point. But again, not every dumb decision can be smart. Go ahead and pick up the Fizz card, I suppose, because everything else is going swimmingly. And I will continue to back out of good decisions, as you do. Alright, next up, go for the axe hit. Bonk. Do I have any good moves coming up? Not quite yet. I'm just going to finish this guy. Yes, I am wasting a lot of potential with that. Basically taking the guarantee in that particular case to make sure that she can hit past Rain, because I don't know what her hit odds are going to be. But we're going to go over there to pick up the Fizz card, so that hopefully she can clean up that back row a little bit faster. Alright. Let's see. Yeah, I love how the comment of, oh, it's all RNG, it's all RNG, how dare you have RNG, keeps coming to mind, even though nobody's actually made that comment yet, but like, I guarantee you by the time that somebody's gotten to this part, somebody's already written that part. Already gotten up on their smug chair and is already, like, ready to declare everything completely wrong. Because God forbid there be some chance in a game. Alright. Let's see. Hammer is gonna kill, go for the recruit. Would you like to join, please? Thank you. Have a nice day. Alright. Anyway. Let's see. Yeah, it would be nice if Spear Guy didn't get owned. Alrighty. So I will continue bullying this knight. He actually might end up becoming a pretty good knight down the road himself. But yeah, if you have any Earth units, definitely bring them into this fight. You're going to be seeing a lot better of an advantage than we're seeing right now. Alright, we're going to take this HP card, just kind of because it's here. You are going to go ahead and take advantage of this, hopefully finish them off. Good, good. One less action for them to take down the road. We've already got one unit that's about to bleed out. Not really much we can do about that for the time being. Alright, what are your odds of recruiting here? None. Dandy dandy. What about you? What are your odds of hitting this person with a hammer? Fantastic, apparently. Then kind of dealies. Get the old healthy sucky, as it were. Okay, you go this way. Set yourself up for later. You probably just snipe this archer and attempt to go for that recruit off a ledge. Bear in mind, recruit doesn't check for height, so you can do some pretty funky stuff with that. There we go. There's that 6%. Told you what happens. But again, I just want to be spamming this out as much as I can. The reason that we're going for this, by the way, is not because of simply going and rolling the numbers, but if you get it to roll like a few times early on, you can snowball very, very quickly, as you could kind of expect by the fact that you suddenly are essentially breaking the limit cap of your units. So, you know, it helps, is what I'm trying to get across here. What doesn't help is taking 0% recruit chances, but hey, you know, sometimes it's just habit. Alright, next up, I don't want her getting sniped by this one, so she's going to go and snipe them first. That's how you do the thinking with the brain and the, you know, the thing with the electrons going up upon your thinky part. I don't know. It sounded smarter in my head until it was done, which is all the time. So, yeah. Pew pew. She's gonna get some more health out of somebody. She has a tendency to do that. She's a man-eater. Right. In that case, she was a lady eater. Which also sounds weird. Maybe I shouldn't phrase it that way. Alright. You want to go ahead and quit your post and join us? Cool. Berserker's about to get a turn, so he's about to get dead. Ideally, you want to be running 4 recruiters or more at this point. This is really entirely on me, to be honest. But, oh well. And part of the reason we're running things like fencers is because they're going to be more or less running infinite MP, which means they can recruit all the time, which means they can cast and do finishers and whatever all the time. That dude died. Sucks to be that dude. Take a Fizz card, just in case you somehow get another round. Ideally, I want to be getting a hold of that Enchantress, because I would like to see another caster on the team, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Yeah, take your Agility card. It's absolutely not going to help us, but whatever. If it happens, it happens. We have recruited them exactly to death. What about you? Roll it. You know you want to win that 1% chance. And then, like, dude, could you just imagine if this somehow took off as a category, and then just, like, decades down the line, there's like a friggin' video of, like, here's the history of friggin' Tactics Ogre Reborn speedrunning, and how somebody managed to get that 1 in 10 trillion run for getting 1% recruits 700 times in a row. I mean, I'd watch that. Alright, yeah, this is about as crappy as this positioning could have possibly gone. Oh man, this is 100% on me right here. Just got this dude completely trapped with nowhere to go. And in some cases you can go ahead and, you know, maneuver your units around still, maybe use a Mighty Impact on one of your own guys or something. But yeah, it's just not happening right here. He can't move anywhere, we can't move anywhere. It's just super awkward all around. Yeah, you can't do anything. You're gonna go ahead and go for the recruit. If it happens, it happens. You've saved yourself a turn. And then he died. Alright. Except now this guy's over here, and he can't really do much either, but he's gonna go for it. 5%, you know, why not? There we go. Again, this is like the worst odds. Of doing this particular route. This is my 5th time through this particular attempt. Or like this particular route, so to speak. This is hands down the worst that it has gone, so I'm really curious what the time's actually going to look like. Because yeah, I've never seen the RNG go this crappy. So, she's got high dex, I suppose. Yes, yes, we have accomplished a sad, and how did we do?
3 weeks
Yes,
had
yes,
passed
okay.
since the
We can put away the speed now. Actually, can I skip the title from here? No. Oh my goodness. Let me go back to the menu. Okay. So what kind of time are we looking at here? 1:44. Honestly, yeah, I expected way worse. Personally, I think like 1 minute 10 is possible, or 1 hour 10 is theoretically possible. If you manage to like get absolutely every recruit, and if you do everything right. Again, previous attempt was 1 hour 17, and that went pretty well. But anyway, so that will be about that for that one. Hopefully this was fun. I will do chapter 2 next when possible. I might have to do that one in 2 chunks for reasons, but yeah, you know, time reasons and all that. But that's all the time I have for today. Thank you guys for stopping by, and yeah, see you in the next part.